Well, here we are, right next to the Golden Hind. We are on South Bank, and we've got London Bridge right over here next to us. Bank is on the other side, so we've got the financial district very close as well. Today we're going to talk about Sir Francis Drake and the reconstruction here of his ship, the Golden Hind, the most famous ship that he sailed. We have just managed to be inside and get a look of the ship and got the experience of being crook-backed hunchbacks, because we could hardly stand up in there. It would have been very small. Even for people of his age, it would have been small, cramped, and smelly confines to be on. But we can start with what the ship and what Francis Drake is most famous for. He is known as the first Englishman to circumnavigate the world, the second person in the world to circumnavigate the whole globe. He was also quite famous for all the gold he brought to the English treasury, becoming the favorite privateer of Queen Elizabeth I and a feared pirate amongst the Spanish. They feared him so much they called him El Drac, the dragon, because he was a menace, stealing a lot of their gold and loot and plunder, potatoes and tobacco as well, coming from the New World. You can imagine when the Spanish would have sailed across the Atlantic Ocean, come across to their own home, he would have come from north, along with many other English pirates, stealing from them. It was veiled in secrecy, but he was legitimized by the Queen to conduct his privateering. But we might be wondering, how did he end up in this position? Where did he come from? Well, he was born in Tavistock, Devon, we believe around 1540. And that is where he managed to get into his first forays out to sea. He got in with his cousin John Hawkins, whom he sailed with and started engaging in slave trade in the 1560s. So that is where he got his introduction to sailing the high seas and learning how to manage a ship and how to manage a crew, which would be important for him later. So from an early age, Francis got involved with the Hawkins family. At about the age of 18, he got into the household of William Hawkes, and it's through that he gained his entry to seamanship and becoming a sailor. Now, he was fortunate, the first small vessel that he was assigned to, he did so well aboard that as a purser and a bit of an apprentice, that the captain, upon his death, who had no heirs and no children of his own, decided to give the small ship to Francis. And that was a way for him to get started on his own seafare and his own captaincy, if you will. Now, he decided to roll the dice once more with this, and instead of being settled with this small ship, he actually reportedly sold the ship to afford himself an even higher position. And that is where he may possibly have been involved in John Hawkins's forays into the slave trade, competing with the Spanish on that field, and also beginning to earn the ire of the Spanish there. So he only engaged with this trade and with this industry for a relative short while, probably less than a decade, because he found something that was much more profitable, which was privateering from the Spanish and stealing from the Spanish. And this is what brought him to the attention of the Queen Elizabeth I, brought him to her court, and eventually would make him a privateer of the Queen in utmost secrecy. They even say that the Queen had him and his men swear to the utmost secrecy of their dealings, of their covert dealings of stealing with the Spanish, on pain of death. She threatened him with that if he ever betrayed her, she would hand him on a silver platter to Philip II and have the Spanish king do whatever he would with him. So it was a very smart way for her to make sure that he would stay loyal to her and would never betray her to the Spanish. Now this ship here, we should mention, it's a reconstruction of the original ship. As you can see, named for the famous Golden Hind in front of him. The ship was named the Pelican before, but eventually he named it the Golden Hind in honor of a patron of his. Now this ship was reconstructed in 1974, so on the 400th anniversary of the trip that would see him circumnavigate the whole world, they built this ship here. And this more modern ship has actually traveled farther than the original Golden Hind. So they actually circumnavigated the globe here as well with this ship a couple of times, and it's been in various ports and various harbors and served as a museum and as a place to visit before it's been permanently dry docked here, more or less, and is now a museum today. The original ship of the Golden Hind of Francis Drake rotted away about the 1650s. But in around Shakespeare's day, in around the early 1600s, after it had made its voyage, it actually served as well as a museum. So people in the 1600s would have been able to pay a little penny and go inside the original ship and see what it would have been like to be aboard the Golden Hind and be one of Francis Drake's men, essentially. But yeah, we don't have anything left of that ship these days. It would have been dry docked here as well at one point. And there is, beyond exploring the whole world and pillaging from Spanish colonies, there's another thing he was famous for. It was defeating the Spanish Armada. And after defeating the Spanish Armada, he got settled here in London in 1588. And that is when London became sort of a second home to him. And he started buying up properties. He became a freeman of the city of London. He became a bit of a city magnate as well, a justice of peace, you name it. He got lavished with titles which would help raise him in his prestige from a commoner to someone of higher rank. And he actually married into nobility, so it helped him sort of rise to the same rank as his wife, if you will. But we're actually going to go over and explore where he had his home in London when he started living here more or less full time, and not just coming here to pay homage and visits to Elizabeth I. Circumnavigation of the world, he started becoming very popular in London, especially because the investors who had invested in his journeys made back their fortunes by about 20 times of what they had initially invested. So he became very popular amongst the elites and the rich here in London, which afforded him to have London as a bit of a second home to him. He lived down in something called Durham House, which was down in the Strand, where he lived in the household of people like the Earl of Leicester. And it's also there that they claim that he lifted 41 pounds from the Earl of Leicester in a very good gambling night for Drake. So you can imagine he spent quite a bit of time mixing in with the elites here and became a bit of a city magnate and a naval merchant as well, a landowner. And after defeating the Spanish Armada in 1588, he actually bought a house here that he called Herbury House, which was somewhere here on the grounds of Cannon Street stations. That's why we're here. And likely every morning coming out of this house, he would have seen the London Stone, though it wasn't on the north side, it was on the south side before. But this is one of the things that he could have seen, this old London Stone down here. Possibly, we don't know exactly what the purpose of the London Stone was, but it is a relic of Roman times, very likely. And it might have been a milestone for the Romans to measure out distances from London here. So he was made, we are in the city of London currently, and he was also made a freeman of the city of London. So they made sure to rise him up and also to become a justice of peace. And he became a main courtier. So after his biggest battles and journeys, he was actually spending a lot of time here in London helping with the administration and government and politics. And he was probably a bit of a breath of fresh air for many of the politicians because of his time as a pirate, as an adventurer, and he was known as a charismatic and funny, witty leader. So he would probably have livened up every meeting and board session he would have been part of. But it's very likely that he himself was itching to get back out to sea. And so he did on his last voyage, where he tried to get to Panama, and he tried to assault and take Panama from the Spanish. Unfortunately, his attack failed, and he died at sea from dysentery at the age of 56. So he died a stranger in a strange land, far from home, but he was bedecked with all the honors that befitted a man of his status. He was buried in a lead coffin that was put out to sea, dressed in full armor. We still don't know where he is. He's lost somewhere at the bottom of the ocean. There have been many diving attempts to try and find his remains. None have succeeded so far. So who knows, it might be in the future we might be able to find the lead coffin of Sir Francis Drake. This was a bit of a shorter video though. We've only covered little bits of him here. We're gonna cut it for now. We might get back to Francis Drake, but for now, been Kim with Invisible London Tours, filming here with Christian right behind me. Hope you like and subscribe.